Okay, welcome back to the Monday Postcast. I'm joined by Lee Mottershead, and I've also got Brendan Duke and Paul Binfield on the line as well. Cheltenham kicks off on Friday. Who'd have believed it? That's come round quick. We got So Raw. Defi Desoy is also due to make his return. Just quick note to see any horses we're most looking forward to seeing. I don't think we've got any markets priced up, but I happen to just drop two in there, move with the times. I think he's going to make his chasing debut. And a horse that Colin Tizard's mentioned a few times as being a dark horse of his, one to watch, Slate House, also had an entry.
Okay.
So might be wise to keep an eye on those too, Lee.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited about Defi Desoy. He's one of my horses of last season. I don't have many decent anti-post punts, but I did back him after he won at Cheltenham in the November meeting for the Triumph Hurdle, and he didn't let me down, kept winning. I think he potentially is going to be a real champion hurdle challenger this year. Complication is that JP also has Bouvert Dare. And it's notoriously a hard season.
That just makes it all better, doesn't it?
Does,
exciting,
yeah. And it is a notoriously hard season for hurdlers, that 4 to 5 campaign. But Hobbsy, in his stable to the race post today, said he was much the best of his previous Triumph Hurdle winners. So they clearly rate him. So, yeah, big great to see him. That race has been reopened, so as yet we don't know who's taking him on. But it's the obvious place for him to start.
Yeah, and I'm sure with the conditions of that race, there will be quite a few that will run in it.
It's a 50 grand race, I think, so there's plenty of cash there.
Yeah, exactly. We often get those 4-year-olds from last season reappearing in it, so hopefully there'll be some good competition for him. Brendan, have you had a chance to look at Cheltenham at all?
Very quick look, Maddie. Like you, I'm very interested in this move with the times. He's a very, very impressive specimen. He looks designed for chasing. Nichols has come out firing. He can barely train a loser at the moment, and he's in against So Royal, so we might get a tasty price about him.
Yeah, I like that. Right, me and Brendan are out playing with this together. Bin, is anything that you can see in the market making a big move or anything catch your eye?
Well, possibly this Palmer's Hill for John Joe O'Neill in the 2 o'clock at Ballymore Novices Hurdle. A very expensive point-to-point horse. Had a maiden win at Uttoxeter recently. Ran a bit green, but looks like he's got an engine. And he cost a lot of money. And I think this could definitely be more than a handicapper for John Joe.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the money does indeed come for that. I'm going to direct this question at you, Brendan. I think it's a little bit negative, but we like to stir things up a bit sometimes on the postcast. Steve Hancock asks, how do we stop every top national hunt race being a Cheltenham trial? So many major races are in their own right and are shadowed by this Cheltenham obsession we've got. What would you say to that?
There's absolutely no way to stop it. The owners are obsessed with Cheltenham. They don't care about money, etc. They just want to have winners at Cheltenham. I mean, what can you do? The BHA have put up £1 million for a series that Might Bite is designed for.
Jockey Club, we should say.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
Jockey Club, yeah.
The Jockey Club have put up £1 million, and the owner's gone, no, we'll go for a graduation chase because we don't need £1 million. So I don't know what you can do. It's up to the owners to want to run their horses in these races, and they don't. They're completely obsessed with Cheltenham. I mean, look at the season Duvan had last year.
Yeah.
He won the Hilly Way, and he won the race in Leopardstown. That was his season.
Yeah, and then obviously he got injured. The one thing I would say is trainers like Paul Nichols are such opportunists that when they see these good races that are so cut up because, everything else is geared towards Cheltenham, he really makes a good go of it, and fair play to him. But it is a bit of a shame, isn't it, Lee?
It's a bit of a shame, but I think there's a danger that we overplay it. I still think, when I wake up on Bet Victor Gold Cup morning, on Betfair Chase morning, on Ladbrokes Trophy Day at Newbury, King George, these are all still fantastic races. I don't wake up in the morning thinking, it's only a Cheltenham trial. They're all
very true.
They're all fantastic contests, and we will see some very good horses going on the way to Cheltenham. They can't just turn up at Cheltenham without having no runs beforehand. And as Brendan says, there is nothing you can do about the status.
It's not a money issue or anything
no,
like
it's
that.
It's just they want to be at Cheltenham in the same way that flat guys want to be at Royal Ascot. This is even more the case that Cheltenham dominates this season. But I think there's a danger that we overblow this sense that everything that goes before Cheltenham doesn't mean anything. It does mean something. We're still seeing really good horses. And if someone's saying, well, it's a trial towards the Gold Cup, well, it is. But races like the Pillar Property Chase, the Peter Marshall, well, they've always been trials towards the Gold Cup in the sense that all the big 2-year-old races are trials towards the Guineas and the Derby.
Yeah.
You've always got to have
It's that
a
natural
goal.
progression.
Yeah, and the Cheltenham Festival is so fantastic. It's bound to dominate everything else. But we've still got great festivals. Aintree gets better and better. We've got this great 2-day festival now at Leopardstown.
Yeah.
In is it January and early February? Is it?
I think so,
early February. The 2 days there. That's a great initiative. The jump season is just going to be wonderful because it's always wonderful.
I love it, full stop.
Yeah.
I love that, Lee. Telling them all to shut up. Stop being negative. Finally, really, really quick mention of the Old Roan Chase on Sunday at Aintree. Had a quick look at horses engaged for this. Waiting patiently, won the Grade 2 at Haydock last season. Very aptly named horse. We've had to wait patiently for him. T for 2, Smad Place, Shantou Village, etc. entries in that. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it's Monet's Garden in there.
He's not.
No,
He's not.
no, sure. No.
I'm sure.
That's a blow.
Right. Okay. Anything majorly catch your eye in that, or did you think wait and see for a bit more info?
I think Bristol de Mai was in there as well, wasn't
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I mean, I think because he still strikes me as a horse that he might forever be a horse that hasn't grown into himself. But he always just strikes me as being quite weak. But
He's still very young.
he is very young. Yeah, you forget with these French imports that they're young when you think they're not. But his performance at Haydock last year. In the Peter Marsh was again one of the most visually impressive efforts of the season. So that'll be good. And good too that we've got a good race on a Sunday. There's a few during especially in Ireland. I mean, the Sundays in Ireland are fantastic. But we've got a few in Britain as well, and this is one of them.
Okay. Right. Quickly before we finish, great question. Give us a jumper to follow for the early part of the season. Binners, what say you?
Well, he might not be the biggest price ever, but I really like the way Petit Mouchoir won recently at Punchestown. He was top class over hurdles with Waterford wizard Henry de Bromhead, and I think we're going to see him in the Grade 2 Craddockstown Chase back at Punchestown next month, so I'm looking forward to that immensely.
Yeah, Arkle Prospect Petit Mouchoir, I was really impressed with him too. We like some bigger prices and some horses that aren't necessarily obvious. On that note, Brendan, what about you?
Well, mine is very obvious, Maddie, I'm afraid, because he's currently favourite for the Hennessy, or it's the Ladbrokes Gold Cup now or something.
Ladbrokes Trophy.
Ladbrokes Trophy, thank you, Lee. I just
call it the Hennessy, guys.
You're biased, Binners.
I think a lot of people will just be calling it the Hennessy for some time to come.
Yes,
but anyway,
brand awareness. But I was just so impressed with American last year. About front running, bold jumping chaser, needs soft ground. He likely get that in the Hennessy, and second seats of chasers are obviously the angle in that race as well. So for an early season target, I thought he was what's been obvious. I'm excited about him.
Yeah. Where do you think he could go end of season? Do you think he could be a Gold Cup horse?
Well, I don't think they'll run him.
No?
Because if everyone is obsessed with Cheltenham except for Harry Fry, and Harry Fry is the anti-Aidan O'Brien. He basically looks for a reason not to run horses, and if he can find a reason not to run a horse, well, that's why he's an amazing strike right now. And he's a very promising trainer. I'm not knocking him, but his methodology is very much based on having everything just right. He's Goldilocks. Everything has to be just right. So based on that, I don't think he'll run him in the Gold Cup on normal Cheltenham ground.
Yeah.
But he should surely show up in the Hennessy.
I think they mentioned a long time ago running him in the Welsh National. I don't know if he's too good for that, but obviously Native River did it with top weight.
Ideal.
So anyway,
Ideal.
Lee.
Well, it's harsh criticising Goldilocks. I like my porridge to be just right as well. If it's too hot or cold, it's just not quite the same. I like the high source of Colin Tizard's was second in a novice hurdle at the first day of their season, lost in translation. I think it bungled. It was like 4 out of 3 that one going well. Still ran well. It's not going to be a superstar, but it should win races.
Okay, excellent. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining us, and don't forget to join us again on Friday's show.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.